Welcome back to Sports Talk is McKinney. We're coming back from Super Bowl 50. I'm telling you what, it's been a crazy couple weeks in the NFL. You got Marshawn Lynch retiring. You know, you got the Denver Broncos pulling off a huge upset. You got the Rams going back to L.A. So many stories to talk about, but we're going to talk about the biggest story right now, Super Bowl 50, Peyton Manning versus Cam Newton. Unfortunately, the experts here at Sports Talk is McKinney both missed that one because we both had the Panthers winning. What a colossal upset, Mike, with the Denver Broncos defeating the Carolina Panthers, and Peyton Manning won his second Super Bowl.
Yeah, and you got to feel good for Peyton Manning. I mean, the whole Manning family. The only person that didn't seem happy about it was Eli up there in the booth. He was the only one that didn't seem to be, having a lot of fun with it.
What was up with that? What was up with Eli? What do you think he was thinking at that time?
I don't know. No bragging rights anymore, I guess. I don't know. But, it was nice to see for, a few reasons. Maybe, we haven't heard the official announcement yet, but ending the career, such a storied career, with his 200th win, his second Super Bowl championship, evening out that losing record in the playoffs now, with a 500 record. So you really, have to feel for the Carolina Panthers, but at the same time, the Denver Broncos, man, that defense brought it.
Well, we're talking about the Denver Bronco defense, and after the Super Bowl, everyone talked about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, is he going to retire? What's going to happen? But the story behind them winning the Super Bowl was that Denver Broncos defense. You're talking about a playoff run where they beat the number 4, number 3, and number 1 scoring offenses all in a row to end up winning the Super Bowl. Coach Wade Phillips, who just had been, 2 years ago was fired from the Houston Texans, comes in and just turns that defense completely around. And that defense was, to me, it was solely responsible for them winning the Super Bowl.
Well, we're looking at a team, the number 1 overall defense, number 1 against the pass, 3rd against the run. And, one of the interesting statistics, one maybe that you and I should have paid heed to as we made our predictions, is that 7 now, after this victory, 7 of the last 8 number 1 defenses that have played in the Super Bowl have won. And only 1 of the last 6 number 1 offenses had won. So that's what we had this year. We had the number 1 defense versus the number 1 offense. But we look at what Denver did in the playoffs. 254 yards given up per game. 99 on the ground, 155 in the air. Pittsburgh had the best offensive game. We're talking 104 yards passing by Carolina, 90 on the ground from the number 1 scoring offense. 31 points a game, held to 10.
Well, this game really reminded me of John Elway back when he was playing quarterback for the Broncos and finally won that Super Bowl. If you remember in that game, he didn't throw for a whole lot of yards, very similar to the game Peyton had. The only difference was Elway did the helicopter spin going for the first down, where Manning really didn't run the ball that much.
Oh.
But relying on someone else. Elway relied on Terrell Davis and that offensive line to finally get him his Super Bowl victory. Peyton Manning, really, that defense kept no pressure on him, all night. They dominated. He had great field position, had good opportunities. Really, he just had to manage the game and to avoid turnovers because that defense was taking them there. Just, in shock at how well they handled Cam Newton. Cam Newton coming in, we're talking about the NFL MVP. They just controlled him, complete, utter domination of the Carolina Panthers. And, of course, congratulations to Peyton Manning. But now the question, and the Denver Broncos, but now, of course, the question coming out, we talk all about the great defensive run they've had. Does Peyton Manning continue to play quarterback in the National Football League, or does he do like John Elway and go out on top?
I don't know. Only he knows. I would suspect yes. But I want to get back to this Denver defense, Dave. Just look at it. These stats are overwhelming. They gave up 1 touchdown. They gave up, I'm talking about from the opposing quarterback. There was 1 passing touchdown, 3 interceptions, 13 sacks, 7 turnovers in the playoffs. Just incredible defensive statistics. But here's maybe the most impressive one of all is third down conversions. Third down conversions are so important in any league, whether we're talking about high school all the way up to the NFL. You've got to get your defense off the field and get your offense on the field. And Denver in the playoffs, 12 of 47. Opponents were 12 of 47 against that Denver defense, which was 25.5%, which was lower than the lowest in the league this year, St. Louis Rams. Just amazing what they were able to do in the playoffs. And on top of that, they scored a touchdown, and what a great play, to start the game, to score a touchdown. Defense 7-0 right off the bat. Well, actually, they added to a field goal, 10-0. They were 6-0 now last season when the defense scores a touchdown. It's hard to win when the other team is scoring when their offense isn't even on the field.
Well, Mike, and like we said, we talked about on our show before, defense wins championships. You're looking at a lot of the teams that have won in the past, like the Ravens coming in and winning that Super Bowl with Ray Lewis, and the Steelers with all their Super Bowls they won was a defensive-based team. Coming in this year, I never would have thought Denver would have had the defense they had, and a lot of credit, I think, needs to go to Coach Wade Phillips, who came in and brought a lot of energy to that team. Just an outstanding performance by him. Of course, Phillips has been beat up over the years. He's, in his own right, he says, I'm not a very good head coach, but I'm a good defensive coach. He's brought good defenses wherever he's been. And, him and head coach Gary Kubiak really turning that around. When you think of all the distractions they had this year, with Peyton Manning struggling like he did, 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions in the regular season. And then you had the PED allegations. You had who's starting, Osweiler or Manning? All the drama leading up to it. And the defense really just took over and carried them to a championship. Of course, like we mentioned earlier, now there's going to be a little bit of drama because the question is, does Peyton Manning comes back? And I'll just say this. I hope Peyton Manning retires. I'd love to see him go out on top. I don't want him, to be like Johnny Unitas, playing his last days. I don't want him, Joe Namath, struggling. Manning's body, he looks broke down. He's a quarterback. His ball has no zip on it at all. I don't even think a long off season is going to fix it. I think his body's just starting to break down from all the years playing in the NFL. Of course, he's played 18 years. What a great time to go out. 18 years, number 18. You win your championship. To me, it all lines up to go out. Of course, Manning, he's not going to make a rush decision. He likes to sit down, work out all his options. But to me, it's time for him to go. It's time for him to retire. I want to see him, and I think all the fans want to see him go out on top, Mike.
Right, and, on one of the late-night talk shows this week, Magic Johnson made a pitch for Manning to come to the Rams. And, regardless of any pitch that anybody makes, and if you're going to listen to somebody, you're going to listen to Magic Johnson. He needs to say no. This needs to be it. But I want to throw out one more interesting, more of a historic statistic regarding the Super Bowl that I just found amazing. Besides the fact that Denver allowed the fewest yards of any Super Bowl champion in history. Nice way to, put their mark on the 50th Super Bowl. But, Dave, did you realize that not since the Chicago Bears has any team with 15 or more wins won the Super Bowl? Not one. So, all that work in the preseason, and during the regular season, it still gets down to the postseason. Can you bring it? Is your defense? You may be able to beat the Atlanta Falcons. You may be able to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You may be able to have all these stats. But that's not who you're going to be playing most years. You're going to be playing, the top squads in the nation, in the country, in the NFL. Are you ready to bring it then? And according to, recent times, we've seen wild card teams win. It's just a matter of, are you on a roll? Is your defense playing well? Are you healthy? And I just found that to be a very interesting statistic, being that we're coming up on the 30th anniversary of that great Chicago Bears team.
Well, and Mike, in closing, we're going to come back in a minute, but in closing, it's just one of those things. The NFL on any given Sunday, any NFL team can beat another team. When we come back, we're actually going to change our focus, and we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. We're halfway through the NBA season, so we'll be right back here on Sports Talk is McKimmie.
Ain't nothing like this Broncos team. We got two quarterbacks to win.